Southpoint condominium, located in Pratamnak Hill, is an exciting development by Kingdom Property. And with construction already started, we caught up with Nigel Cornick as he gives us an update on the project live on Mix 88.5 FM.
And joining us this week on our property update, Nigel Cornick is with us, the CEO of Kingdom Property, who is celebrating two things this weekend. It is a new bicycle, which we've just talked about, the 5th cycle, because it's a Thai thing, isn't it, talking about the birthdays going in a cycle of 12. So you're hitting a new cycle.
I'll be entering my 6th cycle, Russell. The 5th cycle wheels are almost falling off.
No stabilisers?
No stabilisers. I lost those about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Also a cycle ago.
Yeah. And also, Kingdom Property are coming up to 1 year, or is it passing 1 year, or celebrating the first year?
Basically, one year. In fact, today we had our initial launch function for Southpoint.
Okay.
Which was our first project within Kingdom of a development nature. So we're celebrating two things.
Okay.
And, we've got a big party at Centaura Grand, which we're all looking forward to.
It seems that Kingdom Property has been around for such a long time, and you're saying it's just 1 year. You made a big impact as you've got onto the market, I think.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, one of the key issues in markets like Pattaya is you've got to be visible.
Yeah.
And if you're not visible, then people perhaps don't give you the credibility that you deserve in many ways.
Yeah.
So this market is probably, of all the markets in Thailand, the one where there's the most awards, the most advertising, the most magazines. It's
sorry about that.
It's the nature of the market, and to some extent, if you drive around Pattaya and you see all the boards, all the pirate boards, you think, well, do you really need to do all this? But unfortunately, if you don't do it, then you're not in the game. So.
It's the old, if you're not in it, you can't win it type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so it feels like you've been around for a long time as Kingdom Property, but I think a lot of us know, Tim knows, Dave knows, we all know you from several years before. This is not your first venture into the property market.
No, or the radio market. I've been in Thailand for 23 years now, and I first came here with College Jardine and set up their office in Bangkok. Did that for just over 2.5 years, then had a bit of a stint looking at Vietnam with the Harmony Property Group. And then in 96 I joined Raymond just before the financial crash, which was perfect timing.
Yeah.
And we spent 5 years restructuring Raymond, came out of rehab in 2001, and then we took it from there. We did quite a lot in the 2001 to 2009 period. Actually, about 500,000 square meters of real estate. We either built, finished, secured. So we did a lot.
And I think a lot of people just still sort of tie you in as that you're the pioneer, if they like, of Raymond Land at that time. Without you at the head, it was rather quiet, and when you were there, it was big business again.
Yeah, I think any company has to have somebody at the front of it. And it's all very well having consensus management and structures which don't have that leadership. But if you don't do it, then it really it's a lot harder if you don't do it that way.
Yeah. But Kingdom Property now is more your baby.
Yeah, obviously there's two things. One is being the head of the company and driving it forward. The other is being the owner of the company. And having the I suppose the upside and also the downside of being a major shareholder.
Let's talk about the first project that you've got up and running now, which is, as you said, you just had a launch today for Southpoint. Tell us a bit about Southpoint.
Well, Southpoint, we kicked it off say a year ago, and we've got all our approvals, we've got our pre-sale requirements for our funding, and we've let the contract to Bouygues, and Bouygues are now on site. And we've got a 24-month construction program, and really, in many respects, a lot of the front end work is done. Obviously, we've still got units to sell, and we've got to keep we've got to keep the contractor online in terms of quality, etc. But a lot of the hard work in many respects has been done, and that's why you do need to have your pipeline in place, because the next one takes that period of time to bring on stream. And real estate's a long-term game.
Well, someone told me some time ago that was many years before actually something gets in the ground and starts going upwards. There's many years of planning and designing and thinking about things and how things go. So is that the sort of stage you're in now for the next project?
No, we've secured the land, and we're now going through the design development process leading up to submitting an EIA application.
Yeah.
And that should be probably October, November. And hopefully get our approvals first quarter next year. And then we move into the marketing phase,
yeah.
and then it all
steamrolls.
We hope.
Yeah. Okay. Southpoint has 2 towers.
That's correct. Yes.
Now, one of them is not going to be condos. One of them is going to be
well, it's basically
suites.
the whole project is a condo project.
Okay.
But the second building, the smaller of the buildings, will be run as a service department. But it will still be condominiumized.
Yeah.
We can't have a hotel there because it's very, very difficult to, in fact, almost impossible to get a hotel license on a condominium building. So it will be run as a service department by an international operator yet to be decided.
Okay, because that seems like a place where people actually want to go, and we've talked about it as well over the last few months. It's a nice place to spend some time. You're close enough to the city, but not right in the city. You're close enough to the beach, and everything is there. So it's a great place for people to come and spend some holiday time in Pratumnak. So a good place to have service apartments.
Yeah, well, you're seeing more longer-term stays in terms of both the foreign market and also engineers working over on the eastern seaboard, industrial estates, and they maybe need somewhere for 3 months. They don't need it for a year.
Yeah.
So I think definitely as that development continues, the industrial base, then there'll be more demand for service department.
Because I think also when we talked about over the last few months is difficult to find, for want of a better word, expensive properties for people to rent out.
Yeah, I mean, I think something you need to bear in mind is that Pattaya, the typical demographic of your visitors to Pattaya has changed quite significantly over the last 5-7 years. And we've talked about this, lots more families these days. Now, you're going away, husband, wife, couple of kids. If you go to stay in the Royal Cliff Hotel, where a hotel typically operates on what we would call studio apartments. The hotel rooms are normally studio apartments. But obviously, to hire 2 or 3 rooms is very, very expensive. You know, when you're looking at a property like Southpoint, which is obviously going to be a grade A condominium with the same sort of resort-style facilities in terms of swimming pools. I presume there'll be a gymnasium there. Very, very similar to a hotel in many respects, even though it isn't called one. It's in Cozy Beach, which is a very, very nice holiday-type area with a very, very nice beach down at the front, Mountain Beach, close to both Pattaya and Jomtien, close to a lot of restaurants. Ticks a lot of boxes, and a family can rent a 2 or 3 bedroom unit within a serviced apartment and pay only the one rate, which will probably be quite similar to what a single room would be in the Royal Cliff or the Dusit or whatever. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense for families to look at that kind of accommodation.
What's the time frame for Southpoint to be completed? Because you've got all the big corporates involved in doing. I know the piling was done, and now you're going into the next stage and the next stage and the next stage, and you've got good reputable companies to build this. What's the time frame of completion?
Well, the construction contract's 24 months.
Okay.
So I would have no doubt that 24 months' time I will be able to let people in their door.
Okay, which is always good stuff. Now, it's EIA approved and everything is underway.
The fact that real estate is now back as an asset class, whereas 2-3 years ago people were writing off real estate. It was just a bad word.
Yeah.
But I think it shows that real estate always comes back.
Sorry, is your focus with Kingdom, is it exclusively Pattaya? Will you be looking at Bangkok or other markets, or is
at this juncture it's exclusively Pattaya? Right. I think being a small company, which we are, we're not huge, we need to focus and maximise the opportunities that we have and not get distracted. And Pattaya is the best place to be anyway, so why?
Absolutely. You can come to Pattaya and you can live a very, very much a Western style life with very, very, very good infrastructure. The healthcare here is very good. The schools are very good. And so you don't have to compromise. And I think, outside of the capital cities in Asia, I can't think of anywhere else where you don't have to make some compromise. If you live on the holiday islands, there are always compromises to be made, whether that's Phuket, Bali, or wherever. Here, I don't feel that I'm having to make those compromises. And like Nigel said a minute ago, it takes him an hour and 15 minutes to his home in Bangkok. It's probably just over an hour to get to Suvarnabhumi, a big international airport that can fly you to pretty much anywhere in the world. So there's an awful lot of convenience with living here, and lots and lots of reasons why I think people will continue to use this place as a home or a second home from all around the world.
Have a good weekend this week enjoying that party. Nigel Cornick, thank you very much for coming in and being our guest this week. Tim, as always, a pleasure to see you. And Dave, same time, same place next week. Right now, then, let's get back into the news. I think it's time for the BBC to hit the schedule.